Hey, so I've been really busy for the past 2 years, right? And the majority of it is just school, but I've also been doing a lot of other stuff, like riding on Olympus, enrolling in Tracing Academy, and discovering the worst game ever made. And while I was doing all of that, it just so happens that Arcane Odyssey's full release came out. And it is absolutely incredible. If you don't already know, which I'm sure a lot of you probably won't, Arcane Odyssey is a game on Roblox and a pretty good one at that. It's an open world sort of RPG with the storyline as the main focus, so I guess you could somewhat compare it to the gameplay structure of Red Dead Redemption 2, but I digress. The game takes place in the War Seas, a cluster of 6 different seas, all with their own kingdoms and islands to explore, with the main method of transportation, of course, being ships, because, it's the ocean. There's also that storyline that I mentioned earlier, having you go on a literal Arcane Odyssey across the many different islands and meeting a ton of new characters. I seriously recommend you play this game and support the creator. There's a lot of lore, secrets, structures, and bosses that I could honestly just make a whole video on any one of these things. Oh, right, this is a power scaling video. This is also the point where I warn you about spoilers, so if you want to play Arcane Odyssey storyline, now's the time to click off and go do that. So right off the bat, it's clear that our main character, who I'll now be referring to as the MC, is not a regular human. They can jump several meters and sprint infinitely immediately after starting the game at level 1. And not only that, they can levitate midair when using an attack, and this is because everybody in the Arcane universe has magic energy inside them. They can use this magic energy to enhance their bodies and perform superhuman feats. From here, there's a lot of different classes with different options and abilities, but for simplicity's sake, I'll only be talking about the mage class in this video. But do keep in mind that every other class should scale similarly. So first off, the MC gets to choose a starter magic out of the 20 available ones during character creation. And each magic has different stats and are based on elements, but they are generally around the same level of power. The early game does not give us much scaling wise though. We can infer that the MC is special because of how fast they grow in power, and additionally, the AP scaling for Arcane Odyssey is going to be really simple compared to other verses because of how levels and tiers work, which I'll get into in a bit. What this means is that most bosses will linearly scale higher and higher in strength the further we progress, making it pretty easy to draw the line between low tiers, mid tiers, and high tiers. Speaking of AP, let's go over that. So scaling AP for the MC is really easy. The game gives us the explosion spell at level 15, which makes calculations very simple and straightforward. At level 15, the MC has access to a tier 1 explosion, which destroys a few chunks of rock below them whenever they use it. I've calculated this feat to be building level, or about 0.5 tons of TNT. Explosion also deals the same damage as Blast, so they are strong as each other. It's just that Blast is a more condensed attack, and Explosion is a more widespread one. The MC at this level can fight Shura and Iris, who are both capable of affecting their environment on a wide scale, with Shura polluting and destroying the sea life in the ocean within the Jaws, and Iris melting away Frostmill. Even though it's hard to quantify these feats, they should still be noted because nothing like this has ever been done by anybody else that we currently know of. The Mage MC would see much change in strength from Frostmail to Fort Talos, even though spell tiers are just getting into play. This is because they're not big enough to matter until the MC gets to Ravenna. And the reason I say the Mage MC instead of just the MC is because Berserkers do see strength progression during this point by unlocking fighting styles. But getting back on track, reaching Ravenna opens up ultimate arts. These are strong, supercharged versions of the regular spells that are unlocked at level 100 and onwards. I've calculated an ultimate art explosion to being around city block level at this stage. That's factoring in the tier of the explosion, which should be tier 3, and the ultimate arts multiplier, which, if I remember correctly, is a 2 times multiplier on top of the regular size of the tier 3 explosion. The MC faces powerful enemies like Karina and Calvis at this stage, with Calvis being able to create strong concentrated light attacks with Aether magic and can empower himself further with Curse Inheritance, which allows him to access a small fraction of his grandfather Nero's power. Now the MC gets their first awakening a little bit after Ravenna at level 119, which gives them another magic of their choice, since they're a mage. Now this only really expands their arsenal, but I thought that I should bring it up anyway, because some magics can synergize with each other and empower each other. From here, the MC pretty much stagnates in strength up until level 165 and after finishing up Skyhall's chapter. Their explosion increases from tier 3 to tier 4, which slightly increases their energy output to just over 50 tons of TNT or city block level plus. At this level, the MC can go toe-to-toe with Alanon twice, who uses Phoenix magic and creates flames capable of healing himself. As far as I know, this is where the scaling ends for Canon MC, but there is still a good bit of side content that I think is worth bringing up. There are a lot of mini-bosses in both the Bronze Sea and the Nimbus Sea, but the main two that I want to talk about are Jorund and King Caesar. Jorund shoots giant ice balls with his ice magic, which can freeze a large chunk of the ocean when they land in water. This is a very impressive freezing feat that I haven't seen replicated by other players so far. And King Caesar is a very strong boss who was brought back from the dead by the Lazarus Blessing. The main thing about his moveset is the Sword of Damocles, a giant AoE attack that fuses his bronze metal magic and Aether lightning magic and Curse Inheritance into one giant explosion. This move is strong enough to create giant shockwaves that are almost as wide or straight up bigger than Blasted Rock itself, which is the island where he's sealed. Even though this is a bit hard to quantify, it's definitely the largest attack we've seen out of anything in Arcane Odyssey, which I think is very significant because the MC can actually beat this guy. Now, as a recap, the MC has City Block level plus to maybe multi-City Block level AP at level 175, and of course durability will also scale similarly, so also City Block plus to multi-City Block. Now with that aside, let's move on to speed. Now, truth be told, there's not very much going for speed in Arcane Odyssey. There's no direct speed feats in the story, as most cutscenes are talking and aftermaths of fights, and spells don't usually launch the user or involve physical action in a way that would give us solid speed scaling. And fighting styles do have some, but they're not very good. And then weapons don't have much either. The best I can think of for them is Flash Strike, and that's just subsonic. So there's really nothing here, unless... General Argos is the saving grace for Arcane Odyssey's speed scaling, thanks to his Beast Instinct. This move allows Argos to zip around the arena at extremely high speeds, which is perfect for our speed scaling. And I've calculated this feat to be around 1136 meters per second, or about Mach 3.31, which is supersonic plus. So everybody equal to Argos will scale to this, and everybody above level 80 will be upscaling this feat. The MC at Ravenna will be upscaling this feat as well, giving them supersonic plus reaction speeds, and everybody past Ravenna will also upscale it even more. Now there's one more thing that I want to talk about, and it's the MC's abilities. Of course, the Mage MC has access to 2 magics by the end of the storyline, but there's also a bunch of other stuff that are worth mentioning. The MC has access to something called a Dodge Reflex, which is a movement ability they can learn by level 120 that allows them to propel themselves midair using magic or spirit energy. This is useful for movement, of course, and gives them some air mobility. Speaking of spirit energy, the MC can also control their own spirit energy, which is like a person's soul or life force. This is because they're a legacy, which is a distant descendant of a god. In the MC's case, they are a distant descendant of Zeus. Even though the Mage MC doesn't actually use their spirit energy in their attacks currently, they should still be capable of controlling it because we've seen another legacy, Alanon, do exactly that. Alanon uses Phoenix magic, which requires both magic energy and spirit energy to be used in tandem. And as a piece of supporting evidence, a page of Athena's wisdom tells us that only legacies can use Phoenix magic because of its nature, which requires magic energy and spirit energy. Another noteworthy thing about the MC is their naturally enhanced regeneration. Every major boss fight leads to the MC being injured, which is reflected in the in-game injury system, where some of their max health is reduced temporarily because of their injury. After fighting King Calvus IV, the MC receives several bruises and burns from his Aether magic, which they recover from in just under a week, with no scars whatsoever afterwards. So the MC has mid-low level regeneration, which can be boosted even more with healing potions. These healing potions allow the MC to recover whole missing limbs, easily giving them low mid-level regeneration. And potions can even do a lot of other stuff, like boosting their power, enhancing their durability, and making them faster. There are a lot more potion effects, but those are just the ones that I think are relevant here. And that just about wraps up everything about the MC of Arcane Odyssey power scaling wise. Do let me know if I missed anything in the comments, and make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. Until next time, whenever that may be.